everyone. Welcome to the Dreamcatcher podcast, a place where your dreams can find a voice. At some point, we've all felt like our life was lacking in some way. Maybe we're working too hard at work, or maybe we lack a community of people who support us, or maybe we're not as fit and healthy as we'd like to be. My guest today, Cary Jack, is going to give us guidance on how we can get back to balance and create a lifestyle and career that we love. Cary is a lifestyle entrepreneur and is the founder of The Happy Hustle. Through courses, events, content, and his proprietary framework, Cary instills more balance and fulfillment in your life while putting the happy back in your hustle. During our chat, Cary is going to share his advice for those looking to find fulfillment in their career and possibly monetize their passion projects. He'll also discuss how we can align all key areas of our lives, such as health, career, relationships, and several others, so that we can live a life of prosperity and fulfillment. And if you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, rate, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Thanks. Hey, Cary, how's it going?
Oh, it's a beautiful day and I'm breathing, Celine. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it is so great to be connecting with you again. How have you been since we last talked?
Yeah, fantastic. Just deep in the book launch of The Happy Hustle and in the trenches with my Montana Mastermind event. But other than that, life's great. I feel very blessed.
Great. So for all my listeners who don't know what we're talking about, I had the wonderful opportunity of being on Cary's podcast, which is The Happy Hustler. And we had such a great time. And today we're switching roles.
Yep.
I plan to dig deep and find out what your secrets are and how to create a life and a business that we love.
Yeah, it was awesome having you, Celine. You dropped a ton of knowledge and wisdom, and I highly recommend all your listeners go listen to that episode too, because it's probably rare to hear your host, go deep and reveal some of their deep dark secrets. And we specifically talked about writing and SEO and content creation and productivity and a lot of really great topics. I mean, my audience really dug our episode. So the Happy Hustle podcast is, which I don't know which episode, but maybe we'll link it up.
Yeah, I'll add the link. Thank you so much for that. I'm so glad to hear that they found some value in it. So today we're going to be talking about, like I said, finding a way to build a life and a business that we love. And I know that this is your sweet spot because you are a living example of it.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't at one point in my life. I was the opposite, burnt out tech entrepreneur, working 100+ hour weeks, grinding my face off, sacrificing everything for profit and success. So I know both sides now as a lifestyle entrepreneur, working, less than 20 hours a week, making money, making an impact and having freedom, so I've seen both sides, Celine.
Yeah, so I'd love to know a little bit more about what happened in that previous life of yours where you were really, working those long hours.
Yeah, well, I've never been in the corporate world. I'll just tell you that. I've never had a real job. I've always been an entrepreneur. And, from an early age, I just always had either, a lawn care business or a soccer camp business or, big data tech app or whatever. Like I've always been my own boss in some capacity or done freelance work. And it wasn't really until I got super deep on about my third legit startup. Like, I've had businesses that weren't actual formed companies, but this was my third legit one. Failed forward in many in the past and realized this is not going to work. And then you use that failure as fertilizer for your next venture. But this was basically in New York City. I was wearing the suit and tie, soliciting a 7-figure VC funding deal for our big data app called Feedbacker, which was an algorithm we created to quantify feedback, as the name, alludes to. And, we inked deals with Microsoft and IBM and we ended up getting this 7-figure VC funding deal, but I realized, you know, I was so burnt out, Celine. I was working those 100+ hour weeks and just not happy, not balanced. Really, um, had to come to grips with my unhappiness and my stress and anxiety around it. And it wasn't until then I had a conversation with my brother, my business partner, my best friend, all the same person, that had to say, man, I can't do it anymore. And he was burnt out as well. So we said no to the 7-figure VC funding deal, closed the business down. I flew to Bangkok, Thailand, and lived there for 10 months and figured out a better way to work and live, a way to, you know, have my cake and eat it too, you know, a way to be happy within the hustle. And that's kind of where the happy hustle was born. And I really just broke my life down into the 10 alignments of being a happy hustler, and kind of started to quantify each area, and then realized, whoa, the reason I was so unhappy is because I was out of balance. So then when I got back to balance, my happiness skyrocketed. And so now, you know, in the happy hustle, I basically just share my proprietary, you know, soul map and system to achieve balance and avoid burnout. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
That's a great story. That sounds like an eat, pray, love for an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to your story. But what gave you the courage to say no to that deal and to do something else? Because you know you have to think about it in monetary terms, and you know, is it practical? Is it something that you felt that you were ready for?
Uh, it's a good question. I mean, I felt we could be ready for it, but what it came down to, Celine, is, you know, we had to essentially allocate 5 years of our life to this contract in this business. Obviously, rightfully so. If someone's going to give you over 7 figures to fund your company, they want to know you're committed, you know. And when it came down to it, we just realized that this didn't really speak to our soul or our greater purpose or calling on this planet. You know, it didn't have a philanthropic aspect to it. It didn't have an ecological positive impact necessarily. Sure, it positively impacted the lives of the users, but it wasn't, you know, what our heart was craving. So yeah, it was a tough conversation and a tough decision to make. But, you know, I think we all have those tough decisions to make in our lives and those crossroads. And you can kind of choose to sacrifice and settle, or you can choose to be bold and brave and you know, kind of go with the unknown. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it takes a special kind of person to take that leap of faith because not everyone can do it, you know, because we're just programmed to prefer you know, going down a well-known path, a path that's safe, that's um, you know, stable or seemingly stable.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
So
for sure. That's what I mean, as human beings, we're wired for security, you know, and comfort and to have our basic needs met. And so I think that's why a lot of people get caught up doing things they don't love to do, you know, and then they wonder, oh, 20 years went by and I'm still stuck doing the job that I'm not really happy about.
yeah, so this is a good segue to my next question. Do you have any advice for anyone who is in that position? They're in a nine to say they're in a 9 to 5 job and they don't like it. They're completely drained out from it as you were. Um, but they have no options. You know, perhaps they've been looking for jobs for several months or and they're not really able to make some passive income. Like what do you suggest from mindset perspective? How can they begin making that shift and moving towards having a career or another job that would fulfill them on a deeper level?
Yeah, I would say it starts by answering 3 questions. And fortunately, I went through this brand builders group framework and they brought about these questions for myself and my own brand. And now I like to reference them for others. One, you have to figure out what problem you feel called to solve. So maybe you are working a 9 to 5 job right now and it's not fulfilling you. but there is something deep inside you that I know and you know that does fulfill you. Maybe when you volunteer at the homeless shelter, or you you know make a like a online course and help people get a result, or write your own ebook and help people get a result with that. But each one of those things is tied to a problem. So you have to figure out what problem that you solve, because that's all business is, it's solving people's problems. So one, you have to figure out what problem you feel called to solve. Two, you have to figure out who exactly you feel called to solve that problem for, right? And go deep down that rabbit hole of psychographics and demographics. It's important to get crystal clear on that person you want to serve. You're not going to be fulfilled in your life solving a problem for people you don't want to be around,
True, yeah.
So you got to really choose those people wisely. And then three, what is your uniqueness and how can you actually exploit that in the service of others? And that's, those first three questions that you can really start to get clear on your true north, and maybe even start building a side hustle in the process.
I would like to talk about the third one, which is finding out your uniqueness.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know what that is, what are your suggestions? Because some people really don't know what they're good at or what they have a talent in.
Yeah, I would start with a couple, online resources. And there's one, it's called the DISC assessment. There's another called the Myers-Briggs.
Oh yeah.
These are some.
MBTI.
Yeah, exactly. These are some quantifiable tools that you can utilize to figure out your strengths and weaknesses. And obviously, it's a self-assessment, but if you answer honestly, you'll get some clarity around what your uniqueness is, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. And I think it starts with that deep introspection in order to really get clear on that uniqueness.
Yeah. And I think also talking to people who know you well, like your coworkers or your associates, they should be
Yeah.
able to give you that.
Yeah.
that
Great point. Yeah.
yeah.
You can text your closest 10, 15 friends,
Yeah.
ask them, hey, what do you think is my best strength? And just ask that one question. What do you think is my best strength? And then they'll tell you. And if you really want to go deep, you ask them you know, what's my weakness? And then you'll figure that out too.
Just to balance it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And you said you've been an entrepreneur since you were young. So tell us a little bit about that entrepreneurial mindset, how you developed it, and um, how you found the possibility to monetize the opportunities that you were able to uncover along the way.
Yeah. So I was a product of, well, I am the product of two entrepreneurial parents. Yeah. My mom
Yeah.
was a chiropractor and my dad was a mechanic, both owned their own business. Right. I came from humble, middle class roots, but, we had our basic needs met and love in our home, but there was plenty of drama and struggles and strife and the pretty terrible divorce and mental and physical abuse to throw in the mix. So, navigating those waters from an early age, it kind of scarred me. I think everyone has early trauma in some capacity,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Mm.
So I
Interesting. I just wanted to mention this,
yeah,
but it seems like a lot of people who are what I call light workers or working in the personal development field have some kind of trauma in their past, or they face some difficulty, which is why they had to really work on themselves and be like more conscious about every decision and choice that they make. So I just find that interesting. But yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. Go
yeah, of
ahead.
course. No, I mean, to your point, I agree. I think first you have to solve your own trauma, your own deep triggers and emotional baggage that you carry, and then you can really give from your overflow to others. I
Hmm.
think when you don't love yourself, it's really difficult to love others.
Very hard.
And it's also, you'll just carry with you pain and hurt into new relationships from the past that is unhealed. So you have to heal yourself. But yeah, to answer your question in regards to, just growing up with that entrepreneurial mindset, I really will just say this. My dad was a man of discipline, very old school, and if we didn't earn it, we didn't get it. So it's like I had no choice.
Since
If I
you were
wanted
young?
something,
Since
oh
you were
yeah, oh we had to earn our lunch money. Like there was no free lunch.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like little stuff like that. It
So you
teaches you.
didn't, yeah,
Yeah,
so you were programmed to be that way since you were,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And watching, both my parents work hard and solve problems for other people, I just realized, oh, okay, my neighbor needs their lawn cut. I'm gonna offer, or this person needs a ditch dug. I'm gonna offer, or hey, I'm better at soccer than this person's, 12-year-old, and I'm 16. I can train him and I'll solve that problem. And so I started like a pretty successful soccer camp at like 15, 16. And I was making, somewhere between 3 and 5 G's every camp that I'd put on for 1 week, you know? And I was like, that's pretty young for a young guy. And,
That's
you know,
impressive.
yeah, it was fun. I mean, and I'll just again be transparent, not too transparent, because it's incriminating, Celine. But I was for a large stint of my teens going down the wrong path. I was up to no good, with plenty of illegal activities, and just because I didn't have like the my mom was at work, my dad was at work, or my dad was in Montana, my mom was in Florida. I had a lot of freedom. I was up to no good in multiple ways, hustling the wrong way, doing things that I shouldn't be
Mm,
doing.
yeah.
And yeah, that I
The
mean,
dark side of hustling, the shadow side.
that's it. I was doing all of it, and it was not something I'm proud of, but allowed me to then, you know, turn my life around after a couple run-ins with the law, and getting in trouble, having to make that pivot of, hey, you keep going down this road, you're either going to end up dead or in jail, or
How did
or
you come to
worse.
that realization?
Well, I was in jail. Yeah, I actually ended
Well,
up in jail.
there are some
um
people who keep
yeah.
repeating that pattern and they don't have that
Mm,
wake up call like the way you did. So
yeah.
usually there's like a catalyst or a person who kind of like tries to wake you.
Well, yeah, there was one book that I read when I was an early teen that really had a positive impact on my life. It was called The Peaceful Warrior by Dan
Mm,
Millman. And yeah, Dan Millman is a best-selling author of like 17 books. But that book really resonated with me because he shared the story of a character who chose to still maintain his warrior nature, however, be peaceful in the process. And I've always felt like a old soul, an ancient warrior, and a protector, very vigilant by nature. And so that book kind of shaped me, allowing me to still tap into my peaceful side, but not always having to be so hardened by circumstance, and that warrior doesn't always need to be present. So I realized that my darkness was more warrior and my light was more peaceful. Actually got it tattooed on my inner arms, peaceful
oh,
on one
did you?
side and
Okay.
warrior on the other. Really
Yeah.
took it to heart. And then I actually got in contact with Dan Millman. I flew to one of his seminars, bought a VIP ticket, got to meet him backstage, like cried in front of him, telling him how much his books changed me. And then we fostered a relationship, and now I'm grateful to call him a friend to this day. So it's pretty
Oh,
cool.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
anyway,
I understand. I get very emotional about some of my mentors or some of the authors who had a deep impact on me. For me, it was like Carolyn Mace, and I was all,
mm,
I was a bit teary-eyed when I met her. So yeah, I understand.
yeah. But the thing is, just to answer your question, yeah, like the catalyst really of, all right, cut that crap out, Cary. You can't do that. It's just you're gonna end up not where you want, was like legit when I had to, and it wasn't that long, but I did have to spend some time in jail, from making a stupid choice. And then when I got out, there was a couple ripple effects that happened where people around me got in trouble who were in my circle doing the things that I was doing, got in big trouble. And it was like God telling me enough's enough. And so I just vowed to never do what I was doing again, and so I haven't.
So that made you want to change your life around, and I can imagine. And it's great that you did, and you had access to books like that. Did you? So you read the book before you went through this
Yeah.
whole rough
Yeah,
path?
the book didn't change me completely. I
Listen, I
read
get
the
that. I get
yeah,
that because I read a
yeah,
lot of personal growth books in my late teens, but I made a lot of mistakes in my early 20s.
yeah, yeah, true. So yeah, I think the books are great. It's very important what you put into your mind. Even now today, I'm very cognizant of what goes into my mind, who I surround myself with, what I say yes to, like this podcast, what I say no to. Like I think everything has effect on us. Do I watch a Netflix rom-com, or do I watch a YouTube crypto analysis of the next dip? That's all a choice. And it's like you all have that choice, power of free will. And most of us, at least, everyone listening to this podcast, I'm sure. So it's like we have to be deliberate with our actions because they have consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I know you developed this system called 10 alignments of being a happy hustler. Yeah, so I would love to know more about that. Could you please break that down for us?
Yeah, sure. um Basically, I broke my life down when I was out of balance into 10 separate areas. I call them alignments. And I created an acronym so people could remember them, because after I really solved my own problem of imbalance and got to a blissfully balanced state, I had other people asking me to do the same. And then I started, sharing it with my tribe, and getting amazing, feedback from people saying, wow, that's like the best solution I've ever found to the work-life balance problem. And it's like that's really what it solves. Because it's like it's tough. Where do you draw the line? Work, life, work, and it's an age-old problem. And I really didn't mean for it to be like a global, solution, but just first in my own. But the 10 alignments acronym is soul mapping. So soul, SOUL, mappin, MAPPIN. There's no G. That would be 11 alignments. And so it's basically your soul's map to the promised land, to achieving blissful balance and avoiding burnout. So I'm happy to run through each, and then kind of we can go in depth in each
Sure,
of them.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the first one, selfless service. S, selfless service. O, optimize health. U, unplug digitally. L, loving relationships. M, mindful spirituality. A, abundance financially. P, personal development. P, passionate hobbies. I, impactful work. And then N, nature connection. So
Mm,
what I do
love that.
personally, and what the happy hustlers do, who are part of my tribe, is we measure ourselves 1 to 5 in each of these 10 alignments every Sunday. So we say, okay, did I volunteer this week to the degree that I said I was going to? That would be a 5 if I did. 5's an A, 1's an F, right? Optimize health. Did I work out at least 30 minutes every day and eat healthy, nutritious, and delicious foods? 5's an A, 1's an F, and then did I not touch my phone for the first 60 minutes in the morning, 60 minutes in the evening? Okay, that's great. That means I unplug digitally. That would be a 5. So you measure yourself in each of these every single week on Sundays, and then you prioritize change accordingly for your upcoming week. And I have what I call the blissful balancer in order to keep all this stuff straight. So, your task associated with each alignment. But that's basically, in a nutshell, the 10 alignments. And, the key to all of it, the key to really achieving balance, is you have to prioritize each alignment and each calendar, you know, obligation with the same importance. So that means your date night with your significant other gets the same importance as your Zoom meeting with your boss, as the same like your personal development practice of reading 30 minutes in the morning, it's the same as going fly fishing, for your passionate hobbies. That's the kicker here. That's the key.
Yeah, I love it. But do you think that there are some phases in life where one area becomes more demanding or requires more energy and effort than other areas? For example, if you're starting a business, would you not be working more and having that balance would be a little bit harder, like the other aspects could take a hit?
For sure. Yeah. And it did with me, and I was unhappy because of it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. And people have, a different viewpoint. Some may say, oh, life's works in seasons, and you have to hustle hard and be out of balance in order to get to the top,
Yes.
and sacrifice and grind in your business to then have, loving relationships or mindful spirituality later on. And my rebuttal, truthfully, is no, you don't. You really don't.
You
You can
really think
do it.
so?
I honestly do. Like now I'm living proof of it, because I've done it the other way, and now I've done it the happy hustle way. And I can tell you, I've grown in just the past, whatever, not to like be, just to show it's possible to these people listening, but like in the past less than 18 months, grown a top number 1% global podcast, sold over $1 million on Zoom, working less than 20 hours a week while still maintaining loving relationships, blissful balance in my own, personal life. So it's like, I know it's possible to do both,
And
you
everyone,
know,
he's in his early 30s, so keep that in mind.
yeah, 31.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't think it was possible. Truthfully, I believed all the other critics, all the hype. You know,
I'm Carrie. I'm curious to know, how do you manage your time?
I mean, I have a calendar. That's it. Like I have a calendar that everything's
You have a
laid out.
strategy that you follow.
Yeah, the strategy is exactly, what I just laid out. The soul mapping fits into my calendar accordingly. I know when I work out, when I unplug, when I have date nights, when I, focus on my finances, when I focus on personal development. Everything has its place. I'm not perfect by any means. I still mess up. Sometimes hey, if I don't feel like getting up on time, I don't. Thankfully I have that luxury. If I don't want to, if I don't want to go to my dance class with my significant other, we won't go. We'll go to dinner instead. Or like, we have flexibility, but it's really important. Once again, what you measure, you can manage. So you have to measure your time as well as each alignment.
So it all comes down to prioritization, knowing what's important and, yeah, making the time for it, structuring your life in a way that honors all those areas.
Yeah, you have to, or else I'll just tell you, Celine, what happened, ends up happening, and I've seen it time and time again. I fell victim to it. Was you end up getting to the top of the mountain, like you climbed all the way up there in your business, and you're super successful, and you making money, but then you look around, you're the only one there. You've isolated everyone, and oh, by the way, the view sucks. You need to go back down and get to the other mountain and bring your family, your friends, your loved ones, your hobbies, your faith, your fitness, your fun with you as you ascend.
Yeah, I love that analogy. But how do people keep this in mind though when they're in the midst of being going through their day? How do they keep all of this in mind? Is there a system that you can suggest for everyone so they can start following
Yeah.
those
Yeah,
10?
I mean, so I have what I have is a fridge magnet called the Blissful Balancer that I created. It's basically a habit tracker in order to balance all this stuff. And anyone who's interested, I'm actually doing like a completely free masterclass. You just go to thehappyhustle.com/soul mapping, and everyone's going to get the whole system. I'm just going to pull back the whole curtain and just give it to everyone for free on that masterclass. But that fridge magnet you can also just print it out as a PDF. If you don't want to get the fridge magnet, you can just print out a piece of paper that I have already, as that I'm giving everyone who goes to the masterclass. And basically each alignment, like selfless service, you would have a task associated with that alignment. So maybe for Celine, it's, donate 30 minutes of your time, every single day to someone who needs it. Maybe it's just listening to someone or calling a family member or something. But did you do it on Monday? Check, right? And then maybe for, personal development, you have, listen to 30 minutes of an inspiring podcast. Check. Nature connection. Did I get outside and go for a mile walk in nature? Check. So you just check off each one of those 10 alignments and you'll just watch your happiness skyrocket.
Okay. That's great. And as you said, there is room for flexibility, right? I mean, if there are some days where I'm just not feeling it, like I don't want to wake up and do my usual workout, I want to do a lesser intensity. I mean, does it account for that as well? Because we're humans at the end of the day, we're not robots. Is it some days where it's just you don't want to do the things on your list?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, that happens all the time. Like we all, have these yin and yang, the different energies, the dark and the light, and they both pull us in different directions. Sometimes you don't want to work out, sometimes you don't want to meditate, but I know you'll feel better if you do, and so do you. So it's all comes down to discipline.
Exactly. And that's what a lot of people find it tough. But just thinking about how you're going to be rewarded, I think that's going to be motivating enough to get you going.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it is very, like, you have to have vision first and foremost. Like you need to know where you want to go. I think too many people, they try to shoot a target that they don't even know is there. Or for using the analogy of a bow and arrow, if you don't have a clear target, you'll miss every time. So you pull back that bow and that arrow, but where are you headed? Like, where you aiming it? So you have to first and foremost get crystal clear on where you want to go, and then reverse engineer the process and just allow the soul mapping system to essentially guide the way in the day-to-day.
Great. Cary, it's been such a pleasure. I appreciate you being here and sharing all your insights and your wisdom with us. It's been so wonderful talking to you again.
Yeah, thanks, Link, for having me. I appreciate you very, very much. And thanks everyone for listening.
So before you go, could you tell us again where people can find out about soul mapping and learn more about you and everything else that you offer?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, naturally you could listen to the Happy Hustle podcast, go back and listen to Celine and I's episode, and you could always go to caryjack.com. That's just kind of everything lives there. But that particular free training, that free masterclass, that is at thehappyhustle.com and then /soul mapping.
Love it. And I'll also add the links below in the description if you weren't able to get that. Okay, Cary, you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Celine. Appreciate you.
Take
Peace
care.
and love, everyone.